Hello guys, hope you and yours are well. Come to talk to you about the ego. There's this new age myth going around that you've got to bury the ego, destroy the ego, or it'll destroy you. Well, it's impossible to destroy the ego. Literally impossible. You would destroy yourself, try to destroy the ego. It's never going to happen. The ego is self, it's part of self. You need to embrace it and own it. That's the golden rule right there. Own it, make sure it doesn't own you. Aye, can't bury the ego. It's part of self. You never discover self. You're never going on a journey of self-discovery without the ego. So, without the ego, there'd be no rock and roll. Imagine that. No rock and roll. Yeah? Without the ego, there'd be no disco. Imagine that. No disco. Imagine. Without the ego, there'd be no punk rock. Imagine that. No punk rock. Without the ego, there'd be no hip hop. Imagine that. No hip hop. Without the ego, there'd be no acid house. Imagine that. No acid house. Without the ego, there'd be no self-expression. There'd be no art. Without the ego, that's what I'm trying to say to you. So this new age myth that's going around to destroy the ego, bury the ego, or it'll destroy you. Stop trying, guys. Stop telling other people to destroy the ego. It's not going to happen. Embrace it. Embrace the ego and own the bastard. Make sure it doesn't own you. Simple. So I came to a location to tell you about the ego, which is the Edinburgh's Writers' Museum. So everybody in here, from Robbie Burns to J.K. Rowling. Now again, without the ego, you'd have no self-expression. You'd have no science fiction. You'd have no fiction. So let's bury the ego, destroy the ego, or it'll destroy you. Again, what they're doing is they're creating a demon inside you. You're thinking that the ego is a demon. Oh, I better not say that. What if it's the ego? What will people think of me if I say that? Don't worry about expressing yourself, just express yourself, guys. Own the ego, don't let it own you. Simple. Could you do that without the ego? I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine, great artist. He's using her ego for self-expression. She owns her ego. The ego doesn't own her. That's the difference. Her name is Rebecca Radical. Hi Rebecca, keep shining, sister. A friend of mine's, Raymond, brought Rebecca to Mings a few weekends. She spent a few weekends at Mings with a few friends. She's young and she's an anarchist and she's a punk. She's a lot of things. But this young lass was a breath of fresh air, is what I can say. She gets the anarchy thing She gets the sovereignty thing. She knows that they're both the same thing, which was a breath of fresh air because there were that many anarchists within the punk movement and the techno movement trying to tell me I'm no sovereign when they're the same thing. Right, now the reason I'm introducing you to Rebecca is to explain, she can explain the ego a wee bit to you within this song that she's wrote. She also spent a bit of time in the campfire a few weeks ago in Fife with Rebecca, and she'd done this poem on anarchy and sovereignty, and she posted it on Facebook, and I liked it. And she had says that she had noticed that I liked the poem, and asked what I thought of it, and I told her it was excellent, and she says to me, that was your YouTube page. I've been looking into your YouTube page, and your YouTube page inspired me to write that poem. And I was like, I was taken aback a wee bit, because she's clearly listening, she clearly gets it, and to think that what I'm saying is actually inspiring people to produce new art is something very beautiful. So I'm going to leave you with Rebecca Radical, explaining herself to you guys through art, through her ego. Keep shining, sister, and keep on keeping on. And as Rebecca puts it, how as it goes, she's too punk for the hippies and too hippie for the punks. Keep shining, sister. Keep on keeping on.
BRW.
Just call me Alice, 'cause I'm always full of wonderment. Just call me Alice, 'cause I'm always full of wonderment. Can you find your purpose in their precious wonderland? Takes courage to endure the pains of self-discovery instead of accepting the dull ache of unconscious reality. Life is a funny way of shoving lessons in my face. Gotta check that I'm not walking at someone else's pace, shrinking myself down just so they are come to believe and know I spent years building up the being that's in front of them. I gave enough love to those who weren't ready for it. Still admire every soul I've ever come in contact with. Judgment only poisons the one who bruises, so just step back and wish you well on the path you're choosing. They say deep diving into your mind's eye is necessary, so often reassess my expectations of reality. Take apart my goals, my thoughts and my emotions, try to understand exactly where I picked them up from. Are these minor first beliefs from society to treachery thought that no longer aligns with me? Too punk for the hippies, too hippie for the punks, so settle for the title of one weird cunt. I'm a woman with one foot always out the door, a warrior who's pretty sure she's been here before. Respect must be, so you be kicked out of it. Only get one mind, you bet I will protect it. Whether you push or pull me, whether you drain or fuel me, best believe you're part of me and me. Just call me Alice, 'cause I'm always full of wonderment. How I got so lucky to be in the spaces that I am. Trust the universe, been a mantra I repeat, 'cause I wouldn't have got this far if I kept throwing pity parties. Looking back to see blessings in disguise, I will never regret any of the messy nights. It takes courage to be soft in a world that tries to break you. I've learned a lesson, that's why I was meant to meet you. Just call me Alice, my.
Hello guys, it's me again. So that wee bit that you've just watched, I edited maybe about 2 weeks ago. While I was editing it, I started thinking about the time I spent with Rebecca, and there was a moment where I explained she knew she got anarchy and she got sovereignty, but then once I broke down anarchy, sovereignty, democracy and independence, there was a light bulb moment, and I've seen it in Rebecca's eyes, because she got it. In anarchy, sovereignty, democracy, and independence, they all mean the same thing. They all mean people rule. So I'm going to break down anarchy. Now, an means without, the absence of. Archon means master, ruler. Anarchy does not mean without rules, it means without rulers. Now Rebecca got that. She gets anarchy. She's not a fake ass anarchist. She knows what anarchy means. And then there's democracy. We break down democracy. We've got the Greek definition of democracy is demos equals people. Kratos equals sovereignty, power, to rule, people rule. And then we've got sovereignty. I'm going to pass this on to Mark Passio to break down sovereignty, because nobody breaks down words better than Mark Passio. And then I'll let you work at independence for yourself. But they all mean the same thing. Sovereignty, anarchy, democracy and independence, they're all synonymous with each other. They're all the same thing. So this whole independence movement that are trying to say they're sovereign, if you're screaming for independence, begging for independence, you're not sovereign. Sovereignty and independence are the same thing. And when I broke that down to Rebecca, as I said, there was a light bulb moment in her eyes, and I saw a new sense of freedom. Rebecca felt a new sense of freedom, a new sense of anarchy, a new sense of sovereignty, a new sense of democracy, a new sense of independence. And how did I work that one out? Used my ego. There's my ego trip. But I'll leave you with Mark Passio. One love and light. Peace. Rebecca, keep shining, sister. Keep on keeping on. Your work's excellent. I love it. Peace out.
Moreover, let's break the word sovereign down. That's where we're going to come to the real meaning of the term. Sovereign is derived from the Latin adverb super. Super means above. See, in classical Latin, there's no V in classical Latin, right? There was no V character. Actually, if you wrote a V like that, it was a U, okay? And why a double U looks the way that it is. It's two V's, actually. But that sound was U in Latin, if you see a V. There's no V sound in classical Latin. It doesn't exist phonetically, all right? So this phonetic variation that we express as V or V in English, in Latin was P or B. It was represented by a P or a B. So what we're really seeing here is suver, okay? But it was pronounced in Latin super, like super. Well, what does super mean? Super, you're beyond, you're above and beyond, okay? It means above or beyond, that's what it means. A superman is one who's beyond an ordinary man, right? The Latin noun regnum comprises the second part of the etymological root of this word. Regnum, it comes from rex regis in Latin, or regis. It means king. So regnum was the king's rulership. Regnum means his reign. It's where the word reign comes from in English, regnum, in Latin. It means rulership or externally imposed control. Okay? Not control in the context, I'm going to control my emotions, I'm going to control my behavior. No. It means I'm going to control you externally by imposing my will over your will through coercion. That's the context of rulership or control that I'm talking about here. So put them together. Super regnum, sovereign, means above or beyond externally imposed rulership or control by another. That's what it means. Sovereign means not a subject to another being, like a king, like one who considers himself a king. And it means not a slave to someone who considers themselves your master. That's all sovereign means, folks. Not a slave. And why I say every single person here is a sovereign is because there is no such thing, never has been any such thing, and never will be any such thing as legitimacy to slavery. That has never existed, does not exist now, and never will exist. Slavery is an illegitimate concept. None of us are slaves. The condition of slavery has been imposed upon people, but it has never in history been legitimate, and it never will in history be legitimate. So there is no legitimacy to the concept of slavery, of the rightful rulership of another being through directly imposing your control through coercion. Doesn't exist. That's a big part of what natural law is about. We have to understand when we're saying this word, this is what is meant by sovereign, not a slave. Okay, we did a study where we asked people, are you a sovereign? Like 11% said yes. Maybe. I think it was 10 or 11%. Which I thought was almost encouraging, that 1 in 10 people knew that they were sovereign beings. It was amazing. But 90% of the human population doesn't feel that they're sovereign, doesn't know that they're sovereign. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter an iota whether you believe you are or not. I'm telling you it's an eternal truth that you are a sovereign and can never be non-sovereign. There is no such thing as someone else's legitimate rulership or ownership of you. Because there's no such thing to the legitimacy of slavery, and there never has been, and there never will be. So everyone is a sovereign. A sovereign is a monarch. Again, mon means one, and archon means ruler. So when people ask me, what kind of government do you want? I tell them I want anarchy, and I want monarchy. And they're like, how could you have those things simultaneously? Because if you have internal monarchy, you can have external anarchy. See, we need to have the rulership within, and we need to get rid of the rulership without. This is the kingdom we need to master, and we need to set aside the concept of mastery and slavery in the external domain, in the physical world. Sovereignty, a sovereign is a monarch, which means a single ruler who rules only the kingdom of self. Sovereignty is a state in which one controls one's own thoughts, emotions, and actions, and by bringing them into unity or non-contradiction or non-duality, attains mastery over one's own consciousness. Sovereignty could be considered the equivalent of true self-control, true self-mastery, true self-love, or true self-ownership. It's all of these things. And ultimately, it means not a slave. That's what has to be remembered above all else.